All right. As far as I can remember, all right, so I was 2 years old. I was living in a hut with my mother. I remember running around half naked. My mom was getting stuff ready and she was silent. So she told me to come with her, and we went on this wagon and took a long journey. And in this town, I saw this vehicle, which was a bus, a big yellow bus, and I just held on to my mom. There was something different, and my mom wouldn't look at me. I was 3 years old. And I say this because I was still in my diapers. From that long bus trip, we went to a city. I see these buildings I've never seen because all I've seen was huts were, near the beach. And then we took this taxi, this yellow taxi, and my mom told me to get in. We got in and we took a shorter ride this time. Then my mom got out, and I remember her wearing her beautiful sarong dress. It was like a dark yellowish, had red flowers, hibiscus flowers on it. I remember she had this big bag. I remember it vividly. She kept tugging at me in the vehicle to come on out. I resisted. I had a hard time. I knew something was wrong. I don't know. I just had that feeling. So I finally got out. I wouldn't let go of her leg. So to calm me down, she stuck her hand in the purse and pulled out this silver dollar, gave it to me, and said, "If you go to that door, I'll give you this dollar." I didn't want the dollar, but I was just doing what my mom was telling me. I was just being obedient. I took it and I trusted her. After all, she's my mother. So I went in the front door. My mom never looked back. That was the last I saw her. So that house that they left me at was my dad's family. The way they treated me, let's just say it left scars on my body, physically and mentally. One episode, a family gathering, I was not invited to it, so I had to sit in the corner. I remember crawled up in the corner like an animal. I was there starving, literally starving. This happened on many occasions, to the point where I went a couple miles down the road and went to a marketplace. And I remember this one instant, he would open that tin roof, and it had a bunch of long stools. And I'd sit up there and ask for, I remember it said, lemon chicken rice. I'd eat it up so fast and I'd take off. That person never came after me. I was just hungry, and I think he knew it. A few years after that, I was 7 years old. My father calls his family and wanted to bring us to the States. This is the first time I ever felt prejudice, because when I went to the public school, either you were black or white, so people frowned on that when they saw me, because they didn't know what I was. I got into drugs, I fought a lot. I was drinking. I didn't care what was gonna happen to me. Well, I met somebody, and that Christmas, they gave me a Bible. So I chose to read it. I chose to read it, and I said, I'm gonna read the whole thing, see if I can get anything out of it. It touched my soul, it touched my heart, and I felt like God was talking to me. I said, man, I need to read more of this. So after I read the whole Bible, I said, I'm gonna read it again. So I read it again. I didn't get anything but Psalms 34, 15 through 18, which becomes my salvation verse. And I'd like to read that. Psalms 34, verse 15 through 18. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil, to cut off remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are all brokenhearted, and saith such as be of contrite spirit. So what I took from it was the crying part, in that he does hear my pain. In October, I was 23 years old, and I was at Deep Springs Baptist Church. Pastor Campbell made a message how to be saved, and I accepted Christ Lord that day. And at this time I didn't know how all this worked, being a Christian and stuff. You hear stuff, and then I had all this stuff that would happen in my past, and I just felt like, man, it's just one after another, so I just don't get a break. But luckily I had my best friend Fernando, and I told Fernando, you mind if I go with you to church, and I knew he went to Cross Point. I went with him, and Pastor Stan was speaking, and I felt like that message, I don't know what that message was. It was like one Sunday after Sunday. I was like, man, he's talking to me. He don't even know me. And one day, just things started making sense, and I just gave in and started getting involved. I went through growth track. Things were starting to get clear. I still kept up with my Bible studies and all that, even though I was struggling. And for the longest, like I said, I didn't feel like I belonged to any family. But then things started making sense to me. These church people that was brought to me, is my family, and I cherish that. And I just feel like I belong there. Here's the funny thing about the relationship with God. For the longest, all I did was I was praying to him, always talking to him, do this, do that. I'm always asking for him instead of thanking him. Thank you for bringing this adversity. Thank you for putting me this trial, because I know it's going to make me a lot stronger. So instead of me praying for him, I start opening up a book. That's how he talks to me. So it's a two-way relationship. Like all relationship, if it's just one-sided and I'm the only one talking, it's not going to work. Opening that book, interacting with him, doing my devotional, I'm at peace for once. When I got to thinking about that, it's like, man, I see failure everywhere, but there's only one being that's never failed me. It was him. And if I just looked above, I would have known that a lot sooner, but it took me 40-something years to just realize. All in a nutshell, my story is filled with broken pieces, loneliness, terrible choices, and ugly truth. But it's also filled with major comebacks, peace in my soul, and a grace that saved my life.